in children. Head trauma or pediatric head injury is an important public health issue with both high mortality and lifelong problems like physical, cognitive, behavioral, and social. The incidence of traumatic brain injury or head injury is an overall male to female ratio about 2:1. Causes of traumatic brain injury or TBI in children. It varies according to the age group. In infants, the common cause is abuse. Toddlers, along with the abuse, there is falls. School-aged children, there is injuries, both the play and during sports and motor vehicle accidents. Adolescents, the common cause is motor vehicle accidents and assault. Across all age groups, males more than females in minor head injuries. Coming to classification of pediatric head injury. First category, cephal hematoma. It has two types, subgaleal hematoma and subperiosteal hematoma. Subperiosteal hematoma actually clinically means cephal hematoma. Before discussing the detail, the baby's head has skin, epicranial aponeurosis, periosteum, skull and dura. These layers are present in the head of the baby. Then subgaleal hemorrhage is the hemorrhage or hematoma under the epicranial aponeurosis. This white colored layer in the picture is the epicranial aponeurosis. So under this layer, if there is hematoma, that is subgaleal hemorrhage. Then subperiosteal hemorrhage is nothing but hemorrhage under the periosteum. This is the periosteal layer. Subperiosteal hematoma is clinically called as cephal hematoma. Second type of head injury in children is skull fractures. These are very common. These can be linear, comminuted, diastatic, closed, open, depressed, and basilar. Also, the skull fractures may grow as the child brain grows if it is not healed properly. Third type of pediatric head injury is concussion. In these cases, the CT scan or the imaging will be normal, but the symptoms will be present. The symptoms include amnesia, that is loss of memory, vomiting, nausea, short periods of unconsciousness, confusion, headache, and speech. It may last for hours to days. It is due to changes in the white matter of the brain due to repeated head impacts. Next injury is epidural hematoma. It is caused by or it can be seen in 50% of skull fractures. There is rapid deterioration of neurological status or neurological condition of the child. So immediate intervention, that is surgical intervention, is necessary. It is seen between skull and the dura and it does not affect the brain or there is no injury to the brain parenchyma. It has better outcome than subdural hematoma. As we have seen, this is the skull and this is the epidural hematoma that is due to tearing of middle meningeal artery in most cases. So there is accumulation of arterial blood. Hence we will say it is a surgical emergency and it causes compression of the brain parenchyma causing rapid deterioration of the neurological condition of the child. Hence surgical intervention is necessary. The prognosis is better than that is seen in subdural hematoma. Next, subdural hematoma. As the name suggests, it is seen below the dura. This is the dura. It is seen below the dura. Whereas epidural hematoma, that is seen outside the dura. Subdural hematoma is the venous hemorrhage. It is seen in between dura and the brain surface and it is due to direct injury to the brain. Usually, subdural hematoma will be chronic in nature and it requires surgical intervention. The prognosis will be less compared to that of epidural hematoma. Another type of brain injury among children is called intracerebral injury or intracerebral hemorrhage or intracranial hemorrhage. That is bleeding within the brain parenchyma. Next type is intraventricular hemorrhage, that is bleeding within the ventricular system of the brain. You can see here ventricles filled with blood. Next type, subarachnoid hemorrhage. Subarachnoid hemorrhage is seen within the subarachnoid space throughout the brain or whole of the brain. Last type of pediatric head injury is diffuse axonal injury. That is widespread damage of the axons of neuron. It commonly occurs in gray-white matter junction within the brain. There will be poor GCS with clinical manifestation, but the CT findings remains normal. Next about pathophysiology in pediatric head injury. The primary event is direct injury to brain parenchyma. There can be secondary events that followed by injury to brain parenchyma include hypoxia, hypothermia, intracranial hypertension, anemia, vasospasm, compression from mass effect, also hypotension, hyperglycemia or hypoglycemia, hypocapnia or hypercapnia, cerebral edema, and seizures. So, the clinical manifestation or pathological changes may occur as a result of secondary event followed by primary event, that is direct injury to the brain parenchyma. This primary injury and the secondary injury result in diffuse cerebral swelling, which is more common amongst infants and children as compared with adults. Clinical manifestation in head injury. Mild head injury may have a bump or raised area or bruise in the head, small shallow cut in the scalp, headache, sensitivity to noise and light, nausea, poor memory, tiredness, tinnitus, changes in taste, changes in sleep pattern, blurred or double vision, irritability or abnormal behavior, confusion, lightheadedness, and problems with balance. In severe cases or moderate cases, in addition to the above features, there can be loss of consciousness, severe headache that does not go away, repeated nausea and vomiting, loss of short-term memory, slurred speech, trouble walking, weakness in one side of the body, profuse sweating, seizures, CSF rhinorrhea or otorrhea, pupillary changes, deep cut in the scalp, coma, locked-in syndrome, that is the child will be conscious but unable to respond to the stimulus within the environment. Then there can be raccoon eyes or characteristic discoloration around the eyes, battle sign or discoloration around the back of the ear. Then there will be hemotympanum or accumulation of hematoma behind the tympanic membrane, as we have seen CSF or blood rhinorrhea. About 3 grades of traumatic brain injury in among children. It is based on GCS score or Glasgow Coma Scale score. You know the total score is 15. Then the mild head injury if the GCS remain between 13 to 15. Moderate if GCS between 9 to 12, and severe if the GCS is less than 9. Coming to management of head injury in among children. You can use an abbreviation, namely A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I. In A there is airway, B for breathing, C for circulation, D diabetic and drug control, that is nothing but hyperglycemia or hypoglycemia control. Then epilepsy, the management is anticonvulsants, fever, antipyretics, and close hydrotherapy. Then GCS monitoring, then management of or prevention of herniation of the brain or simply management of cerebral edema, and investigations like neuroimaging when the child's condition is stabilized. Coming to airway or breathing management. It includes intubation if the GCS score is less than 8 or if there is signs of deterioration. Then analgesia attenuates the effect of pain and stress on ICP. Proper analgesia is required since it reduces the ICP and further decreases the metabolic rate and it reduces the brain damage. One important thing in airway and breathing management in pediatric head injury cases is hyperventilation. Mild hyperventilation reduces the ICP by hypocapnia-induced cerebral vasoconstriction. By hyperventilation, the level of carbon dioxide will be reduced. That will result in vasoconstriction, thereby cerebral blood flow is reduced and cerebral blood volume is reduced, causing reduced ICP. But hyperventilation, excessive hyperventilation result in decreased cerebral oxygenation and may induce brain ischemia. So always avoid prophylactic severe hyperventilation. The goal is to maintain PaCO2 between 30 to 35 mm of Hg. So mild hyperventilation reduces ICP. Next management is with circulation. Under ABCD, next is C, that is circulation. Hypertensive episodes double the mortality in case of severe traumatic brain injury among children. So fluid resuscitation is important, that is with the isotonic solution like normal saline, ringer lactate, etc. The goal is maintenance of BP more than 80. Also, all other sources of bleeding must be controlled. Then vasopressors like dobutamine or dopamine can be used. Head positioning is important for effective drainage of CSF and maintaining appropriate circulation. Head is maintained at a 30 degree. Next is diabetic control, that is hyperglycemia control. Hyperglycemia is associated with a poor outcome, especially neurological outcome among children with TBI. So, appropriate insulin infusion, that is to keep the glucose level 70 to 120 is the goal. Next, epilepsy management, that is seizure prophylaxis. Prophylactically, anticonvulsants like eptoin is given for children for the first 7 days after TBI. Next part of resuscitation is GCS monitoring. Modified Children's Coma Scale or Glasgow Coma Scale is utilized for continuous GCS monitoring. It includes eye opening, verbal and motor responses. Eye opening, spontaneous, speech, pain and none as in adult. 4, 3, 2, 1 is the scoring. Verbal response is different compared to adult in children. Verbal responses include coos or babbles 5, irritable 4, cries to pain 3, moans to pain 2 and none 1. If there is no response 1. Motor response also varies in children compared to adult GCS scale. Motor response include normal spontaneous movement 6, withdraws to touch 5, withdraws to pain 4, abnormal flexion 3, abnormal extension 2, flaccid state 1. The total score remains the same as that of adult, that is 50. Based on this GCS, earlier we have seen 3 grades of head injury among children. Next part is ICP monitoring. In ICP, it should not go above 20 mm of Hg because it is associated with the increased morbidity and mortality. To reduce ICP below 20 or within normal limits, hyperosmolar agents can be used. One of the agents is mannitol. It reduces blood viscosity and has an osmotic effect. That is, it removes water from brain parenchyma into systemic circulation, so cerebral edema is reduced. Next is hypertonic saline. It restores normal cellular resting membrane potential and the cell volume, and it inhibits inflammation and it enhances the cardiac output. Next is the CSF drainage. An intracranial drain can be placed to remove CSF and maintain ICP within normal range. You can see here, this is the catheter that is inserted into the intraventricular system and the CSF is drained into the bile. Lastly, barbiturate coma is used as a treatment to treat refractory intracranial hypertension. That is, intracranial hypertension or increased ICP not responding to other modalities of treatment. The drug used here is phenobarbital. This is the end of management of head injury in children or resuscitation of head injury in children. It includes A to I, A for airway, B for breathing, C for circulation, D for diabetic control or hyperglycemia management with insulin, E for epilepsy management with seizure prophylaxis using anticonvulsants, G for Glasgow Coma Scale monitoring or GCS monitoring, I for management of or prevention of herniation, that is cerebral edema management using mannitol hypertonic saline or barbiturate coma and vigorous ICP monitoring, and finally I investigation including CT and MRI once a child is stabilized. To conclude, overall trend in management of pediatric head injury have improved outcomes, improved pre-hospital care, regionalization of pediatric trauma care centers, adherence to emergency-based management, more aggressive care including ICP monitoring, early surgical evacuation of mass lesion like EDH or SDH, MRI advances in intensive care have resulted in good neurological outcome for children in traumatic brain injury. Here is the end of this video. Thanks for your listening.